Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my top 3 drugstore foundations, which is the third video in my top drugstore products series. A couple of these foundations I've been using for a lot of years, so I'm going to mention them in the order of which I've used the most. I don't even know what I'm saying. Let me just get into the video. The first foundation that I'm going to mention from the drugstore, I literally swear by this foundation, and I prefer this foundation over a lot of high-end foundations that I have tried. I prefer this over a MAC foundation any day, and it is the L'Oreal True Match foundation. One of the things that I love about this foundation is that it has an amazing color variety. It doesn't matter what skin color you are, whether you're like transparent like a vampire or you have like really deep skin. Every single person in the world can literally find a match with L'Oreal True Match, because they have like neutral, cool, warm, and then they have like within those categories they have like a million shades. So that's one thing that is really good about this foundation. In the drugstore they don't really have high varieties like that with other brands. So this foundation I've been using for about 4 years now, and there was a point in my life before I started YouTube where I used this foundation for, I want to say, 2 years straight without trying any other foundation, and I was perfectly fine with it. You know how some foundations, after you use them for a couple of months or after you use them a certain amount of times, you're kind of like, it's not working for me anymore, I'm not sure how much I like it, let me switch to something different. I've never felt this way about this foundation. I cannot count how many times I've repurchased this foundation, and it is great, and it is medium to full coverage, so you can definitely build up the coverage. This foundation is bomb.com. If you're looking for any foundation in the drugstore, I would say go for this one, because I've known how good it is for so long. I don't want to suggest like a product that I've been using recently, but this foundation is good. It's really good. Second foundation that I'm going to mention, it's by Maybelline. This is the Matte and Poreless foundation. This foundation is new. It came out in the spring. Prior to this foundation coming out, I had been using the regular Fit Me formula for years. When it first came out, I bought it, which I believe was around 2010, 2011. And I had been using it for a really long time. I never use it as much as I use my L'Oreal True Match, but it was definitely a really good foundation. It has amazing coverage. And I remember, like, this foundation like made an impact on me, because I remember the first time that I used it, I remember doing my friend's makeup and she had like a lot of veins on her face, and it just like instantly covered it with like one coat. So I was like, oh my god, this foundation is so good. I'm not gonna compare it to a high-end foundation. I don't think it's that mind-blowing, but I think it's a really good foundation for the price, because L'Oreal is a bit more expensive than Maybelline. Like, these foundations are more expensive than these ones. I don't know exactly off the top of my head, so I don't want to throw out there like a random price, but these are about $10, and then these are like $7 I think at Walmart. So it's, you know, it's a lot cheaper. If you're on a budget and you can't decide between either of these, I would say they're both good. They're both really good foundations. The only thing about this one is that it's matte and poreless. So basically, if you have, like I said, I have normal skin, so for me it works the same way that the True Match works. But if you have really dry skin, I don't think this would be the best foundation for you. I've heard people with dry skin use like really hydrating primers and then use this on top and don't set it, and it works fine for them. One thing that I do, I mix both of these together. This is the Matte and Poreless and the Dewy Smooth. This foundation tends to be a little bit too dewy and it doesn't really set, so I don't use it on its own. But when I combine these two together, it's amazing. So if you have dry skin and you don't want to use the Matte Poreless by itself, I would suggest buying both of them and using them together. And the finish of both of these together is amazing. So this is my second foundation from the drugstore, which I've been using. Even though this is a reformulation, I've been using like the actual Fit Me line for about 4 years. And I love Maybelline. It's one of my favorite brands at the drugstore. So these are really good foundations at the drugstore. And the third foundation that I'm going to be talking about, I actually like the best. I like the most out of the 3 of these, but I can't swear by it the same way that I swear by these ones, because it's really new. I've only been using this foundation for about 2 or 3 weeks. It's the Infallible Pro Matte Foundation. And again, it has a really matte finish because it is a matte foundation. Duh. But I've only been using this for 3 weeks, so I don't want to like swear by it like, oh my god, it's the best foundation out there. But it really is. Like, it's a really good foundation. If you're going to go to the drugstore and you're going to get any foundation, I would say get this one. If you have dry skin, again, you need to use it with a really hydrating primer. But for me, this foundation works amazingly. And even though it's matte finish, sometimes I'll put like a liquid illuminator and I'll mix it in. Or I'll put a liquid illuminator on my face and then put the foundation on top, and it gives it more of like a luminous finish. So this foundation is definitely multi-use. This foundation is like really, really good. Like, really, really good. And it says 24-hour wear. I've never worn it for 24 hours. I've never needed to wear it for 24 hours. But whenever I wear it, I come home and my face is intact. I put this foundation on. Where did I go? On Saturday, I did my makeup around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I got home like, I want to say it was close to like 2 in the morning. And my face still looked really good. And like, I know that I don't have oily skin. So maybe for somebody with oily skin, it's going to work different. And it's going to run more oils. But this foundation is so good. So yeah, I know that it's really hard to find good foundations. I feel like it's really hard to find really good makeup at the drugstore, period. I feel like when you're on YouTube and you're actually trying makeup for a living, it's easier. You find all the good products because you're trying everything. So you're kind of like deciphering what's good and what's not. I feel like for a normal person who's just going into the drugstore to like find a product here and there, I feel like it's easy to find a product that's like a dud and then be discouraged and never go back. And if I didn't mention, these are all medium to full coverage because I am a full coverage type of girl. I don't really have a lot of blemishes, but when I'm doing makeup, it's either all or nothing. So I like full coverage. So yeah, these are my top 3 foundations from the drugstore. If you're in the market for a really good drugstore foundation, I would suggest any of these 3. And with foundations, it's really tricky to shop at the drugstore because you cannot try out the foundation while you're there. A suggestion that I have, which I have it in my how to pick your right foundation shade, which I'm going to be linking down below if you guys want to watch it to get some tips on how to get the right foundation shade that matches you perfectly, especially if you're not really familiar with makeup. It could be really, really hard to find the right shade because I still struggle finding the right shade. I go back to the store all the time like, oh my god, I took a picture in different lighting and it was definitely a different color, so I need a different foundation. So yeah, I'm gonna be linking down below my how to pick the right foundation shade video. And if you guys are gonna go to the drugstore, make sure you watch that video first so you can get a couple of tips on how to pick out your foundation. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please rate, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, bye.